You've heard about chips, you've heard about power, you've even heard about water. But the next thing that could stall 1,000 data centers, the thing that billion-dollar AI labs are quietly stockpiling right now, looks like a glorified fishing rod. Only it's not fishing for fish, it's fishing for light. And if you don't know where that rod comes from, you're already behind. That let's start with a number that doesn't make sense until it does. That a single GPU rack doesn't just talk to the world, it screams at it. Compared to a standard CPU rack, it needs roughly 36 times more fiber, not 10%, not 2x to 36th. That's not an upgrade. That's a rewrite of physics. Now project that forward to in 2024, data centers drank up less than 5% of the world's optical fiber supply. Barely ASIP to by 2027. That share is expected to hit 30%. That's a six-fold jump in 3 years. The marginal buyer of glass on this planet has changed, that it's no longer telecom towers in rural counties, that it's a windowless concrete box in Virginia, running at 100 degrees Fahrenheit, burning megawatts to train the next GPT. Oh, where's the pinch? Not the fiber itself. That's just drawn hair. The rail gate, the one nobody talks about in earnings calls, sits one level up. The preform rod. Picture a perfect cylinder of ultra-pure glass, built layer by atomic layer, like a wedding cake baked over months. Every kilometer of fiber you'll ever use comes out of one of these rods. And here's the catch. Draw towers. The machines that pull fiber can be installed in weeks. Preform lines, 18 to 24 months per line, before a single meter passes qualification. And the big Western capacity additions you keep reading about, most don't light up until after 2028. That's a 2-year window where demand curves go vertical and supply curves stay flat. You do the math. Now count the players. Globally, there are only about 20 preform manufacturers, not 200.20. The top 5 control close to 60% of all capacity. The global number 1 spot is a 2-horse race. 1 Chinese champion, 1 American icon. 2 Japanese giants hold the keys to specialty grades that no one else can replicate. And inside the United States, exactly 1 vertically integrated name remains standing. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. That rod's light guiding core isn't just glass. It's doped with something called germanium. It's the invisible seasoning that makes light bend, stay, and travel without losing its voice. And China controls roughly 60% of global germanium production. In August 2023, that output went under export licensing. Not a ban, just a will let you know. Since early 2024, the price of germanium has roughly tripled. Not doubled, tripled. You don't need a supply chain degree to know what tripled input costs due to a market where every gram is already allocated as. What do preform makers do when their most expensive ingredient spikes and their most profitable customer is a hyperscaler waving a blank check? They prioritize. They shift their best rods, their highest purity, highest margin runs, straight into data center fiber, standard telecom fiber, the kind that keeps your 5G signal alive, gets squeezed underneath, not cut off, just thinner, slower. Later, that squeeze is already visible in the boardrooms. Meta didn't sign a $6 billion agreement with Corning because they liked the logo. They signed because they saw the rod forecast for 2026 and realized that if they didn't lock in capacity now, their next-gen clusters would be light-starved. NVIDIA followed with its own Corning partnership, tied explicitly to a 10x expansion of U.S. optical connectivity. Capacity, read that again, 10x. Not 10% point 10 times. That's not a supply deal. That's a strategic hedge against a bottleneck that most analysts still haven't mapped. And the quietest part, nobody knows exactly how much preform inventory is sitting in secret warehouses. Nobody knows which of the 20 producers will have a furnace go down next quarter, and nobody, not even the top 3, can tell you with certainty what a new rod line will cost in 2027. Because germanium isn't the only exotic material in that recipe. The next time you see a rack of H100S or a GB200 cluster, remember, underneath all that silicon, underneath all that copper and cooling fluid, there's a glass rod, about 4 meters long, weighing as much as a small motorcycle, that decided whether that cluster ever speaks to the outside world. AI's next bottleneck isn't a chip shortage. IT isn't transformer math. It's a piece of glass that takes 2 years to grow, 3 elements to dope, and 1 geopolitical tremor to turn into the most expensive fishing rod in human history. And if you're not watching that rod right now, you're not watching the real race. Because the lightspeed future, it travels through glass, and the glass is running out.